The Swedish design movement is a state-funded initiative to drive and implement sustainability within design, fashion, architecture and furniture in Sweden, of course. The goal is to strengthen Swedish design's position internationally and increase exports. I have invited some of my fellow design movement members, steering group members, as well as the core of Swedish design and fashion from IKEA and H&M. Welcome Jenny Bergström from the Swedish Institute and Tobias Olsson from Architects Sweden. And you are both part of the Swedish design movement. And welcome Eva Lilja, Head of Design at IKEA.
Thank you.
And Ann-Sofie Johansson, Creative Advisor at H&M.
Thank you.
We will start with Jenny. There is a huge interest for Swedish fashion and design in the world right now, not least because of all our sustainability work. Why do you think sustainability is such a norm, such a mindset here in Sweden?
Well, I think the reasons are many. I think that we have been working with sustainability and climate issues for a very long time. Sweden was actually the first country in the world to implement an Environmental Protection Act in 1967, and we have worked continuously since then to change policies and things like that. And now with the global sustainability goals, we are trying to lead the way and to implement the agenda in Sweden, but also we would try to contribute to making that globally. So, I mean, the societal and political perspective is one, but of course we also have the individual perspective, and we have a very close relationship to nature. We spend a lot of time in nature, and we like that. And I mean, not least now in this tough situation that we are, we kind of seek refuge in nature. So I think many things coincide to create awareness. And of course, I mean, we have 9 years until we need to fulfill the global agenda. So I think that we feel the rush as well. And when it comes to the design perspective and so on, I think you are much better equipped to talk about that. But I think, I mean, it's high on the agenda in Sweden.
Yeah, and we learn from early childhood also to take care of nature. I mean, it's part of our education in a way. So, yeah, that's probably why we also appreciate it even more.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe I'm taking too much time here, but I think looking at the last years, I think the development has been so fast. I think so many things are happening now, and that really gives hope. And in so many sectors, not at least the different design sectors.
Exactly. And Eva, from IKEA's perspective, I mean, the whole idea is built upon sustainability. I mean, you started basically you were the first company probably in the world offering furniture that you had to assemble yourself at home, saving in the production line, but also saving on transport, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah. And nowadays it's a way of, bringing the things home in a convenient and easy way. So
exactly.
It has really, it's a new repurpose, and it's, so it's absolutely relevant.
Yeah.
And then our, the bigger purpose that we are aim to work with is a better home for the many people, and for contain that we have this design philosophy, or is the philosophy is not just about design, it's broader than that, but we work with democratic design, and within that we want to create desirable and affordable products that have great form and function, and then they have a great quality, of course, but most and very important now, and it's the sustainability. And of course, for IKEA, we wouldn't be IKEA if we didn't wrap all this with a good price tag, of course.
But tell us a little bit about you, because you've continued to be a progressive company. I mean, what are the key kind of design criteria today in order to stay sustainable and circular?
When it comes to the design criteria, I think if we could specific, when we talk about sustainability here, I think it's the whole value chain from the material as such and how we actually use the material. And from a designer, it's to be very resourceful, to use the right material in the right way. And I should say that the most important thing we're working with now is with the circularity principle, that it actually can be reused, refurbished, remanufactured, and in the very last end, recycled. But that's in the very, very end point of the cycle of a product.
And I think, Ann-Sofi, from many perspectives, I mean, H&M is not all that different when it comes to design philosophy and sustainability goals. And H&M was also kind of funded also with cost consciousness in mind, and obviously already there you save a lot on materials and through the whole value chain. And I know also that you have kind of spearheaded the whole industry using sustainable materials from 2006, which was quite kind of new and big then. What would you say the kind of most important things are today that needs developing or that are in the kind of development right now?
Well, I mean, we are very much working in the very same way, IKEA and H&M, and we are also having common projects sometimes. So, and I think that is really key also to succeed and becoming sustainable and circular is absolutely to collaborate with other partners in the business. Even though it doesn't, I mean, you doesn't do fashion, you do homeware, and we do fashion, but at the same time we have the same challenges, I would say, very much. I think for us, you mentioned fabrics. I mean, we've been working very hard with the fabrics, and we have come quite a far way there anyway. Still goals to come to, but I think the big thing now for us is absolutely about circular design, how to design in a circular way. So we will become fully circular. There is also our goal. So we have to start with designing in a circular way. That is quite a big change for us designers, I have to say, because we have to think in a totally new way. Already from the beginning, when we start sketching, we have to think about how this garment, how this accessory will be reused and recycled over and over again and in the best way. So we have to put in a lot of thoughts and a lot of consideration, I think, into each product to choose carefully the fabrics. And should it be blended? Maybe not. That is not so easy to recycle. You know, all these kind of thoughts and considerations and choices to and still make a fashionable product that appeals to our customers. So there's a lot of challenges. But I think we are on a way. We are slowly or step by step implementing this at H&M, and starting with our smaller collections, of course, more limited ones that we can really try out things, and that is always how we do things. So I think that is a really big change, I think, and yeah. And also all the tech, I have to say that also. Now I'm speaking too long as well, I think. But otherwise, tech is also such a new thing for a designer, I think. And that is what I see tech very much as an enabler, or to also become more sustainable and also to make a better product. I mean, using 3D, using avatars to really see how a garment is moving, how a garment is, what alterations and we have to do, and to avoid unnecessary sampling, of course, and to be more spot on. So big tech and circular design guides, that is what we are working hard on now, I would say.
I think it's so cool. And also you two being probably the biggest brands in the world.
Yes.
I mean, from in your industries, and you are also really both of you spearheading sustainability in the industry. Really cool. Makes me very proud. Anyway, Tobias, we don't know as much about architecture as we know about fashion and furniture design. But tell us a little bit. I mean, what are the important sustainability criteria? I mean, I know how I want a room or a house to feel and look, but I don't really know how to get there. I mean, what are the most important things to think of, or what are you thinking of?
Well, in short, it's what they said, but translated into architecture, I would say. Yeah. But I mean, building a house, for instance, is somewhat a more complex product than a garment or a table. I mean, it's complicated as well. Yeah, that's, I know. But new buildings are usually larger anyway, and more complicated. And I think architects are trying their best to think the same way as you do. And what's becoming more and more clear is that we can't really go on building more. And of course that's very difficult because we still need more housing and we need schools and hospitals and whatever. But the ground principle must be that do you really have to build it? So firstly you'll have to check if there's an old existing building that you can use instead, and if not, is there something you can do with that building to remake it in order to use it instead? Or if not, can you then perhaps rebuild it with existing materials? And if not, well, okay, let's build it then. But and if we have to build it, then we also have to make sure that we use the right kind of materials, exactly as you said. And we've been using a lot of materials with high emissions in the past. And wood is an example of a superb material that has a much lower emission of carbon emission than other materials. So we're getting quite good at working with wood, as well IKEA has been doing for ages. But like in Sara Kulturhus, for instance, or Sara Culture House, which is one of the world's highest buildings, completely made out of wood. Even the elevator shafts are completely made out of wood. And it's possible, and it leaves us a much smaller footprint in the end. Because lately we've also been so good at making our housing or the buildings super efficient when we use them. So the bad guy here is actually the construction of the new building. That's the bad guy seen to carbon emissions. I mean, so that's a real task for us as well. And the architects are a consultant who works for the person who wants to build the house. So it's the architects don't really own the whole process. So it's the competence that they can contribute with. So.
Interesting and really cool, because we love wood buildings, don't we? I mean, I just hope that we will get more of them. We do see some new buildings made of wood right now, and they all have a focus also on kind of big windows and just more natural, basically, which is really nice. So it's very much about also what you offer, but it's also about kind of consumer demand and you know, how do you, I mean, I'm always impressed, Eva, when I go to IKEA, because it feels like obviously it's a longer shopping process. I mean, you have to go through the whole department store, but it feels like everything you need is there at exactly the right time and at the right place. So it's always, you always feel like, oh God, they thought about me. How much would you say that you are kind of driving the sustainability criteria towards the consumer, and how much do you think that is kind of driven by the demand?
Wow, I should say it's 50-50, or maybe the customer drives a little bit more because we are there to fulfill the needs and dreams, of course, but we also try to work together. So we now have communities that help us from a designer perspective, how we can actually reach out to our consumer through very smart apps and, you know, tools like this, digital tools. And then we have tools to help our customer that we can a little bit give back and learn how to live more healthy and have a better homes. Then we have some small gadgets and apps around that as well to get a little bit Newton, you know. We give and we take and or receive. So that's I should say it's promising. And as you say, we have this, as we call in IKEA, these big blue barns out in the fields. But now recently we are adapting that as well. So we are looking into more city center stores and more convenient online shopping. And, you know, so with COVID, we have accelerated that as well. But as I'm not the bigger part of that, so I can't go deep in this, but I'm really impressed about how we have handled it in the company and how we have, used this situation and to be
more present where your consumers
absolutely,
are.
and actually, be there where our customer want us to be, help them.
Yeah, and it seems
that
like that's the key. I mean, it's like you have this meeting between the consumer and the company.
Yeah.
Because we often get to hear that sustainability needs to be all done by the company, it needs to be driven by the company. Yes, and that's true. But of course, we also need the consumer to be on the journey, and we need
Absolutely.
to also know about their demands in order to make the right choices.
Yeah, and we know that this is going to be mutuals because what they buy is also, we need to provide them with. But if we can provide them with good, more sustainable products, then we can, accelerate this movement as well, So, cool. And as you said before, we talked about it a little bit earlier before. It's about also to be a trusted brand in the end. So that's very important because they are aware of the situation when it comes to consumerism, and they don't want to be that and don't want to be wasteful, and we know that.
Exactly,
sure.
and now they know so much more because now they've been researching online throughout this whole pandemic. Everybody knows everything. But Ann-Sofi, tell me, you are obviously forefront when it comes to so many different initiatives at H&M. Can you tell us a little bit about the latest and also that are kind of contributing to circularity in fashion?
Yes, I think I just want to agree with you that also to engage the customers are super important, I think, to inspire the customers, to engage our customers, to empower our customers to make the right choices also, and to kind of build this circularity movement, I think, together with the customers. I think that's super important. And also to make them, I mean, we have a whole lot of different projects going on, but one of them are, for example, we have a big machine called the Loop. I don't know if you heard about that. It's actually, we had 2 machines in the whole world, and one of them are here in Stockholm, in one of our stores in the city centre here in Stockholm. And there the customers can come with their old things and recycle them. And I think that is so good because the customer can really see that it is possible to recycle things. Still on a very small scale, I have to say that, but you can actually, so that is also one way of engaging customers, I think, and see that an old garment still has value if you reuse it or recycle it. So that is one, this super big machine. It's really exciting. And also it's like magic because you put in one thing here and it goes through a lot of tubes and things and out comes a new garment. And that is really to close the loop and
it's like a redesign.
Yeah, redesign
machine.
to make new fashion out of old fashion.
Cool.
So that is one thing. We also have rental. We're trying, of course, new business models. We all do that as well, I guess. We tried it also just in small scale still, Stockholm and Berlin, 2 stores. But it has been really successful, I think. And it's also so good because you see that there's a demand for rentals. And of course, it's more kind of occasion wear from our Conscious exclusive collections. But still, there's a demand for that. And I think that gives us also, receipt that we are doing. This is right. We can expand this and do this further and take it further. So that is one good thing. Also, here in Stockholm Fashion Week, we had a studio collection, the launch for Spring Summer 21. And there's also we made a small add-on, so you can actually buy second-hand old studios garments, old favorites, so you can buy and revisit old studio favorites and buy them. So there's also kind of a little bit of a tryout when it comes to the second-hand market, the resale market, which we know also we will go into as everybody else, but still.
Yeah.
So that is also one step further of becoming, of course, circular and reuse and recycle over and over again.
Definitely.
So it's a new mindset.
No, it's really cool. I mean, vintage really has become such a trend actually during the pandemic. But tell us a little bit about the trends in architecture. I mean, is the view, for instance, is that the new black?
Well,
we all want a view today.
Trends in architecture. Well, I think a view is very important. I think it's always been important. Maybe not so trendy. I would say, like in fashion, architecture also follows trends, of course, and it should do. It should tell us the story about the context, the society, the politics, and so on. And right now, I would say it's postmodernism or from the 80s and 90s that you can really see in new architecture, like arches, for instance.
Fashion.
Exactly. Who doesn't love a good arch? And you see it everywhere. And view, well, I think a good view of nature, that's because of COVID, perhaps, or maybe peak urbanism. But we don't have time to go into peak urbanism here.
We all want that. Yeah, it all belongs together. And obviously there are also benefits kind of working together with all these different design industries, driving sustainability and driving Swedish design.
Yes. I think it's obvious that we have the same challenges and the same possibilities in the whole sector.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep up the amazing work with sustainability that you all are doing. Thank you.
Thank you.